Hey, what's up everybody? This is Candace Yvette with Black Women Aware. First, I would like to say thank you to everyone who comes by and supports my channel. It really does mean a lot to me. If you would like to email me with any suggestions, questions, or concerns, my email is always going to be in the description box below. Again, thank you for visiting my channel.
Mother is breaking her silence tonight as she searches for answers in the death of her daughter. She was found dead in her Newburgh apartment with her 2-year-old daughter by her side. WLKY's Minaj Kwangwari shares why the family is stopping at nothing to get justice.
Scrolling through pictures of her 23-year-old daughter, Kiara Gonzalez.
This is her and her sister.
Gets harder with each passing day for mom Michelle Stone. But it's the only way to wipe away the image stuck in her head of her daughter lying on her apartment living room floor dead with a gunshot wound to the head.
Because I have so many questions. So many questions about this person of why they took my daughter.
Stone was the one who found her last Wednesday at around noon. She made the drive from Radcliffe because she had a mother's hunch that her daughter was not okay. When she got to the apartment on Rangeland Road, she realized she was right.
Well, the first thing I noticed was her hands purple.
Then she heard the screams of Kiara's 2-year-old daughter. She was left inside the home right beside her mother's dead body.
That makes me question even more. How could you take her mother?
After the emotions wore off, Stone says she was left with more questions than answers. She says authorities told her her daughter had already been dead for 3 days when she was found.
They didn't kill my granddaughter. She didn't have any poop stains on her, no pee stains on her. No poop in the house, no pee stains in the house. So we knew that somebody had been there 3 days taking care of her with the mama. My question is, how could you take care of my granddaughter and not call the police when you seen that her mother was dead?
A question now LMPD is tasked with as an investigation is underway. But officers won't be the only ones searching for answers. Stone says she will be too, even if it's the last thing she does.
And she had a good heart. And she definitely didn't deserve what happened to her.
In Louisville, Minaj Kwangwari.
This has to be one of the most traumatic and scariest ways to find your daughter and your granddaughter. Your granddaughter in an apartment with her mother's corpse, and your daughter not only deceased but murdered with a gunshot wound to the head. Let me say this before I get into this video. My deepest prayers and condolences go out to Michelle Stone and her family. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into this article. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Candace Yvette with Black Women Aware, and I am back with another video. In this video, I will be covering a case that came to me out of the Louisville, Kentucky area. Okay, now without further ado, let's jump right into this article. Now it says a Kentucky woman found her 2-year-old grandbaby alive in a clean diaper in the same apartment where her daughter, child's mother, had been popped and unalived 3 days earlier. On September 21st, Michelle Stone went to check on her daughter at an apartment after not hearing from her for a couple of days. When Stone arrived, she noticed that the apartment was unlocked and found the body of her daughter, Kiara Gonzalez, on the living room floor, according to WLKY. Now, as I've already stated, what a shock that must be to not only find your daughter deceased. That is one thing, to find a person deceased, okay? Everybody is not unalived or murdered, in other words, when they are found deceased, okay? But again, not only to find her deceased, but to find that she had been murdered, okay? And I don't have any words for that, because I can't imagine the images that are etched in Michelle Stone's head of her daughter. Okay, so again, my condolences go out to her. Not only those images of her deceased daughter, but her grandbaby running around that apartment, okay, with her mother's corpse on the living room floor. Okay, then not only that, but you have a grandbaby who appeared to be in good health. I say appeared because, you know, we don't, like, I don't know if they tested that baby's system and if she's all the way A-okay. They only said in the article that she was in a clean diaper. Okay. So you have this grandbaby who appears to be in good health and well taken care of, and you have your daughter deceased on the floor. The first thing that popped in my head as I was reading that, y'all, was who is sick enough to do that, to take a woman away from her child, but so-called care for the child, you know, up until when, you know what I'm saying? Because usually when you care for somebody else's baby, there's a point where you have to get that child back. So you care for the child up until when? Up until you thought somebody was going to come and pick that child up or come check on Kierra or what have you. You know, it just reeks of sociopath to me. You know, and then I have to wonder, like, was this person alone when they did this? Did they have a second party? Because usually when you have things like this happen, you're going to have the suspect try to distance themselves as much as possible from the crime scene, from the crime, period. You know what I'm saying? Even if they have to leave the state or anything. So the fact that you have a corpse in the living room in an unlocked apartment and a baby who's crying, you know, I don't know if that child was planted there or whatever, because if the child is well taken care of, then somebody possibly was obviously taking care of this baby and possibly left the child in the apartment later on. Like, I have so many questions of how that transpired. Was the child at a different location and they dropped it off at the apartment with the mother later on? Did this person stay in this apartment with this woman's corpse on the floor for 3 days? And then, like, how did they know the grandmother was coming? Where was this person at? Were they out on the run? Y'all see what I'm saying? I have so many questions. You know, sometimes apartments, you can have the apartment that doesn't face the parking lot or whatever, where everybody is supposed to park. How did they know the grandmother was coming? Like, because, you know, if the child was in a clean diaper, then that means within a few hours of whoever, the suspect or the caretaker or whoever being absent, somebody had to be there a few hours before grandmother got there. So I just have questions on how did they know the grandmother would show up? What told them to leave that apartment? Because again, grandmother came, she said she had a hunch to go check on her daughter. She hadn't heard from the daughter. So I'm thinking not only that, but where it did Kierra have a cell phone? Even though cell phones are very common, we know that everybody does not hold a cell phone. So did she have a cell phone? Does the suspect have her cell phone? Is that what alerted them that the grandmother was on her way over to the apartment? You know, I just have so many questions. Okay. But from what I researched as well, it did say that the family of Kiara Stone Gonzalez do suspect one individual of being responsible for this heinous crime or what have you. They didn't specify, from what I researched, whether it was a romantic other or what have you. We would like to just assume that it was a romantic other, like a boyfriend or something like that. But from which I've learned on Black Women Aware, it does not matter the relationship that you have with some of these black men. It could be your son, it could be your boyfriend, your brother, your father. You are still at a high risk, you know, of being unalived by either one of those. Okay, it doesn't always have to be a romantic other. But let's go on. So it says, according to Wave, Stone Gonzalez passed away from a gunshot wound to the head 3 days earlier. The Jefferson County coroner confirmed that foul play was involved. Nearby, Stone found her 2-year-old granddaughter crying. The child had a clean, dry diaper on, and there wasn't evidence of accidents in the apartment. So again, this child isn't potty trained because she's 2. She's obviously still in diapers. Somebody had to have been there with her or planted her there. I'm thinking, and this is my theory, I'm thinking Kierra possibly had a cell phone, and her mother was calling the cell phone, worried, and This person possibly who was taking care of her child probably dropped the child off at the apartment with her mother's corpse and left before grandmother got there. Probably way before grandmother got there, because obviously they want to distance themselves from the crime scene and for the whole thing altogether. They don't want to go down with that, obviously. So let's go on. So it says, so we knew somebody had been in there for 3 days taking care of her with the mama. Ain't that sick, y'all? You taking care of a baby and the mother is literally decomposing on the living room floor up front. That's sick. That's sick. You have to be insane in the membrane to do something like that. I have been in the medical field for almost 20 years. I don't like sitting with corpses at all. It's something that I will never get used to. Okay? Like, I know that they're deceased, but corpses still move around even after they're deceased. And I'm not laughing because it's funny or anything like that. I'm laughing because as I'm explaining this to y'all, an image came through my head, and a lot of people like to think of rigor mortis when they think about corpses moving. They like to think of, like the movies have it, people sitting up and arms moving. And I ain't gonna front, that stuff does happen. But I'm talking about the subtle movements that corpses do after a person takes their last breath. Like, this person may really look like they still breathing and they're not breathing. It's just chemically stuff moving around and settling. That's all it is, gases and stuff. So it looks like the person is still breathing in some cases, you know. And so that's what made me kind of chuckle, is that, you know, I have been in the field for so long. I've seen everybody from babies to old folks take their last breaths and go to meet their makers. And I still cannot sit in no hospital room, not even for an hour, not even for 5 minutes, with a corpse. So imagine somebody with a child of a mother, and the mother is not only deceased, because again, everybody doesn't die. Everybody's isn't murdered, you know. Everybody isn't murdered. So get this in your head. You have this corpse up front, but this lady who passed away in a gruesome manner, she had a gunshot wound to her head. That's not a pretty sight. Okay, I imagine it was probably blood everywhere. The body had possibly settled. I'm not trying to be disgusting or anything like that, or disrespect the family. What I'm saying is, imagine how heinous and sinister and sickening the suspect or whoever is responsible for this had to have been to do something like that to a child's mother and take care of the child for 3 days and let that child be around her mother's corpse like that. That's sick in the head, y'all. That's what I'm trying to push. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. You're listening to somebody who had to wash up corpses, put them in the freezers, and I still can't even do that. When I worked nights at the hospital, I still had to have another nurse come down there in that basement to the morgue with me, because I can't do it. You have to have something mentally, socially, emotionally turned off in you for you to do something like this to somebody. Okay? It's giving, this person really didn't care for Kierra. They hated her with some type of passion. Okay? And I kind of want to, and this is my theory, I don't know for sure, but it's giving as well that whoever did this possibly had some connection to that child. I'm not insinuating it was the child's father, because Kierra could have possibly had a boyfriend. I don't know that. I don't know what she had. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But seriously, that's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm thinking about. Whoever was crazy enough to do this to Kierra but not hurt that baby, they probably had some type of connection to that child. Okay, because I hate to say it, but this is the real world, and in the real world, you have people who are crazy enough to send children to meet their makers as well, because they want to get away with it. And children are pure. They don't know good from bad. So when you ask them something, they're just going to tell it. They don't think, hey, let me withhold this information, but just tell this officer or this detective this part of the story and let me withhold the rest of it. All they know is, hey, you asked me what happened, I'm going to tell you from A to Z what happened. And a lot of criminals, they know this, so they usually send a child to meet the maker as well. Okay? So, anywho, let's go on. So it says, again, the grandmother knew that somebody, or she suspected somebody, had been in the apartment with the corpse and with the child, taking care of the child. Okay. And she says, my question is, how come you take care of my granddaughter and not call the police when you had seen the mother was deceased? Easy, because whoever was taking care of that child possibly has some connection with that crime. Hell no, they not finna call the police. They just wasn't G enough to hurt a baby. That's all that was. Okay, so let's keep going. Stone told Wave that she thinks her daughter was targeted. The Louisville Metro Police Department Homicide Unit is investigating the murder, and Louisville police have not made any arrests, according to Wave. Of course they haven't. You know, I'm just now hearing about this case. Okay, and again, it is certain other channels that cover these cases or whatever, and they get them as quick as the article comes out, like within a few hours or whatever. And I haven't even seen none of these other pages or channels, which I'm going to allow to remain nameless because I don't have their permission to say their names on here. But other advocates who cover these stories, I haven't seen them yet cover this case. Okay, but I will be leaving the contact information for the Louisville Metro Police Department in the description box below. If you have any information on this case, please call them. Even if you want to call anonymous, I believe that's okay as well. The thing we have to do now is get this menacing, sickening individual, whoever they may be, we have to do our part and assist to getting them off the streets. Even if all you can do is write algorithm in the comments below, hit the like button or share this video. To me, in my opinion, that still counts as doing something. Okay, we don't want Kiara Stone Gonzalez's story to be buried. Okay, like many other cases before. And y'all all know time is money. We don't want to lose no more time and let this case, or let the evidence, or what could be evidence, or what could be good leads fall below the wayside. We just don't want that to happen. Okay, again, my condolences to the family of Kiara Stone Gonzalez. This is Candace Yvette. Y'all please leave your comments and everything below. Let me know what you think about this case. What do you think happened? Who do you think was involved? Leave the comments below, and please make sure to keep comments respectful when pertaining to the victim. You don't have to agree with everything that I say. Just make sure you keep the comments respectful. Many families come back and they visit Black Women Aware. Even though this is a small channel, they still come back and visit, and I am their advocate. This is their safe space. I do not want any disrespectful comments in the comment section. Thank you all again for watching. This is Candace Yvette, and I am signing off.
Something to you that really hit me this morning. My youngest daughter and I went to a circus in Washington. An elephant was a part of the show, and I was in complete awe. This animal was so large and majestic that we had to get a closer look, so we walked down to the circus floor. The elephant was tethered to a stake in the ground with a flimsy rope around its ankle. Huh? How is this possible? This made no sense, so I asked the elephant's trainer, help me understand how an elephant gets to this point. How can you keep it secure with this little rope? He explained, when the elephant is young, we secure it with a chain attached to concrete. Because the elephant is smaller at that point, no matter how much he jerks the chain, he can't break free. We do it long enough for him to be convinced there is nothing he can do to break free. From that point on, the only thing the elephant has to feel is something around its ankle, and it won't fight against it. Still confused, I asked, Are we talking about the same elephant that can pull up the big top and push a car, yet when he feels a rope around his ankle, he's been conditioned to believe he can't break free? Exactly. They don't realize they grew up. Unfortunately, for too many of us, the conditioning we receive as a child was often negative and self-limiting. It was weighed down by criticism, lack of encouragement, fear, and constraint. It might have been criticizing words from a parent or destructive comments from close friends. Perhaps a teacher told you that you were incapable and that you would never do something. Once you accept your self-limitations, they quickly become beliefs, and those beliefs are your truth. This doesn't mean your beliefs are accurate, it just means that you are accepting them as truth. Even if your beliefs may have been true at one time, but it doesn't mean they are still true today. In that same conversation with the elephant trainer, I asked, as a trainer, what do you worry about? Jokingly, he replied that one day the elephant will find out that this rope couldn't hold him this whole time. I don't know about you, but that hit me like a ton of bricks.